Hello, welcome to the Black Salt Mirror. I have a friend here with me today. I guess I have to tell you his story. I adopted my puppy after COVID. I think it was 2020, 2019, 2020. We had just gone through some lockdowns where I was living and I was going to be out of work for a very long time. I never actually ended up going back. And I adopted my dog from the pound, and his toy came home with him. And they gave us a bag of food and his harness and a leash. We had to return the leash. Its foot has the embroidery from a local vet, so I think he got it at the pound. And it's his favorite toy. It's the only thing he'll play with. He absolutely loves it. We take it everywhere we go. And despite the fact that I bought him many other toys, and he likes things if they dispense treats, but only as long as they're dispensing treats. But he won't play with anything else, and that this is his toy. And he'll look for it if I've placed it somewhere that he can't locate, like up on the bed. Usually I have to leave it on the floor for him. But that segues into the message that's been coming through today about uniqueness and about how a lot of people will see that a certain field has plenty of people within it. Like if you do paintings, whenever I think of art, I always think of painting for some reason, even if it's not even my art. But you go to a gallery and there's lots of paintings, and some of them are even contemporary local artists, and you see people sitting outside painting or doing spray art. I don't know if that's considered painting. But in any given field, there will always already be people within the field that are very good, that are very well known. And often people can think, oh, well, I'm not going to make it. I have so much competition. It's amazing competition. And my art is different or not that good. I think when people have unique art, they will frequently think of it as not that good because it doesn't look like anything else. It's just the thing that you wanted to make, which is what makes it unique and beautiful. But you don't discover that until other people tell you, and other people love it, and they say, I like it because it has this different thing that only you do. Like, you're the only one that does melting clocks. Nobody else paints melting clocks. But you do it in this amazing surrealist way. And we really like the melting clocks. And you don't usually know unless you've gotten early feedback, which is rare for artists. I think we hate to show people our work unless we're very little, but usually you don't grow up in an extremely supportive environment if you are inclined to make art. Somehow it goes like that, but you usually don't know what makes you unique and special until other people tell you, until you've just said, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it this way anyway, and if people like it, that's great. If they don't, I'm making it for me anyway, because I love it. And you can also notice that about faces. I think of Drew Barrymore. She has a unique way where she talks out of the one side of her mouth more so than the other, if you know what I mean. And I remember she had started her talk show, I think also during the COVID times, and somebody had said in the comments that they remembered how she talked out of the side of her face. And like, it was a positive thing. Like, oh, I remember you do this unique thing, and I like that you're still doing it. And it's nice to see that again. And you see a lot of people in the public eye, like getting veneers or like braces and tooth whitening. I guess Invisalign a thing now. Or getting all kinds of things done to take away their uniqueness, like talking. It's only become very recently, I feel like, where we have a much wider variety of accents in movies, particularly coming out of Hollywood, where most people, I think Taika Waititi talked about that, how he wasn't allowed to do his accent early on because people didn't quite know what it was. And now he can just do movies with his accent. It's fine because he's speaking English and it's just an accent. But there's a lot more acceptance now of the uniqueness of people. And sometimes we forget that that's people's favorite part about somebody, is like the thing that makes them unique. And one of the big reasons when I started this channel why I decided to do a front-facing camera instead of like a card-facing camera, which I kind of like the idea better because I talk so much in pictures that it's easier if you're looking at the cards with me. However, people are tuned to faces. And I know from being on social media for a long time and seeing icons change and seeing thumbnails change, sometimes you won't realize that something you see is like from your favorite creator because they've changed like their avatar, or the thumbnail doesn't look the way you expected it to, or they changed the name of their channel. But you'll always remember a face. And we're attuned to that because of our social nature. But if you want to do effective marketing, one of the most effective things you can do is to put your face on it so people recognize you. Not because it's like an egotistical thing and you're like, it has to be me, but because people will pick it out more quickly than they'll pick out other elements that do change as marketing changes. I was listening to a podcast one time, I think it was Dear Hank and John, where John Green was talking about how I think they both talked about how they didn't want their names on the books too big. And I always thought that was like a really egotistical thing, you know, like Clive Cussler is like half of the cover. I didn't realize that it was the publishing companies that were doing that, because they know if somebody really likes the author and they can see their name from across the bookstore, they might go over and buy that book. And it's not the author who just thinks they're the most important thing about the story that they wrote, which was useful to know, so I'm not blaming the wrong person. But again, it's zeroing in on the connection. I like this person. I like the things that this person does. This will help me recognize that this is a thing that the person's done. That your giant name. So, if many of you are wondering, like, if you should put yourself out there, always make sure there's not one left in the box. The answer is yes, because people will attune to you. And art's unique anyway. So you don't have to worry about people thinking your art is different. You want people to think your art is different because that's what makes it special. First card, Ace of Cups. Happiness. But also, this has the traditional symbolism of the dove bringing the wafer into the chalice, which is also a unification with spirit. And the lily, a more traditional symbol of beautiful things blooming from mud and needing their time and needing their specific environment. What I was going to say about art in the beginning is that there are also a lot of people who do it poorly. And if you can do what you do better than anyone else can, then you have your own niche already. You don't have to compete with anyone. Let's see, we've got Death in reverse, which is interesting because in reverse, our astronaut diver is upright. That might be a pressure tank for diving. Either way, we've got a clock on their chest and this thing, which to me looks like a many-sided dice, but there's probably a more typical name for it. The clock is interesting because death does come to us all. And it reminds me that time continues to happen no matter what you do. People like to say, oh, you were so brave for getting through that, getting through that. Or you were so strong, or you did an amazing job, when all you did was continue to exist and time passed. A lot of problems can go away over time if you endure them for long enough. Eventually, change will happen with time. But if someone is giving you the credit for the passage of time, when all you did was continue to experience time as a living thing, that is misplaced credit. We've also got the Knight of Wands, who looks like he's dressed, I'm not sure what kind of kit this is. But he appears to be older. Normally the age goes up. So the page is the youngest, then the knight, then the queen, then the king. This is speaking to me of a very unique person who comes to something later in life and who finally comes out and embraces their passion, which is the wand suit, later in life, which is not uncommon for artists and unique folks to work through all the stuff first and then to say, you know what, I'm just going to be me and do what I want to do. I've had a few hairdressers like that. Very good hairdressers. I've got the moon with our pups. And what is this? The Page of Swords in reverse. But she's also not as young as you normally expect from a page. In reverse, it's a negation, which goes back to something I had been thinking about doing a message for. The things that you are to communicate, the things that you are to share with the world, they're not necessarily words. And even if they are, I've said before, I'm a writer, but writing is art. It's not that I'm explaining concepts to people, it's that I'm writing stories, and they come from my experiences. And your art also comes from your experiences. And sometimes it's just the way that you enjoy something. Sometimes you create art by enjoying it, and the art is like a side effect. Like people that sit at home and they play their instrument because they love to play. The fact that it sounds nice to other people isn't the point. The point is that they like to play. They like to make music. It doesn't matter if anyone hears them. And this is what it's saying. In fact, it's even saying that the spoken parts can remain silent. You don't have to say anything about the art. You simply have to create it out of your happiness and from the depths. People's opinions will come, and from places you don't have to worry about. The moon is obscurity, but it's also the subconscious. It's things that are kind of liminal. And in a way, you don't have to concern yourself with liminal things. You can just make your art and put it out there and go make more art and let everyone else have their own opinions about what it is you made or did or shared. And that's the best way to be. Unless you're inspired by somebody else, which you will be. But that's not opinion or criticism. It's inspiration. It's somebody else hearing what you wrote and making a perfume that smells like it. And then you smell that perfume and you write another song because it inspired you to something else. That's inspiration. That's sharing and melding and creating art from art. And they're saying now is the time to do that, right? The diver's looking down at the clock on their chest. And whether or not they're in space or underwater, up has become somewhat relative because gravity doesn't function the same. In fact, I don't think gravity functions at all in water. I think it's more of a buoyancy thing. I could be wrong though. Alright, I'll get a couple more from the Muse. I think that was a pretty straightforward reading today. And it didn't feel 15 minutes long, so... Do the things that make you unique. The story about this toy had been because of the uniqueness, because it's the only toy he'll play with. Knight of Materials in reverse. Do not worry about the time it takes. The Knight of Pentacles is really slow, and that's one of his significations, is that he's really slow, and in reverse he can be almost not moving. I mean, this horse has got a nice gallop going on here, but it's more attractive than it is anything else. And this is a succulent up here, and they're very slow. They don't grow fast, they don't move much, but they take their time and they get where they're going to be. Another knight. This one is upright, and this is the Knight of Cups. Don't worry about the physicality of it. Don't worry about the timing. Do not worry about the production, whatever you're making. Worry about how it makes you feel. Fill your cup. Be happy. Splash around. He looks like he's splashing a bit, just for fun. Six of Inspiration. We got these cards last time. And you'll be victorious. And a star. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be like world famous. You can't walk down the street without being recognized, but you will succeed in your field, in your niche, if you just create from joy. And a third Knight of Voices. This one's a Pegasus. And you fly. Let your art be your voice. There are a lot of strong messages coming through about communication, and I feel like some of you have this idea in your head that you have to put your experience into words, like you have to explain it to people. And the message keeps coming through to me. That's not the point. You don't have to speak. In fact, a lot of things that you feel can't be spoken because we have trouble. Like, think about if somebody said, what does being hungry feel like? Well, everybody knows what it feels like, but it's really hard to explain if for some reason someone hadn't experienced it, or maybe they feel it somewhat differently. You can't explain emotions, but you can convey them so that other people can feel something similar, or that other people can see that you're moved. It's not even necessarily about making them feel or see what you felt. It's about knowing that something great is coming out of you, and then moving them to feel something strong and great coming out of them. Because if you can evoke in them the emotions that you pour into your work, then you're successful. And it's fascinating. Above the clouds, you fly. And then there's above. Because there's the clouds here below the Pegasus, but then there's a window behind the Pegasus with a whole nother universe with its own sky. So you'll see different things in people's art, and they'll see different things, but it's all beautiful. And the Five of Inspirations. It's about mirrors. It's always about mirrors. What you show others of themselves, what they can see of you, and what you do. And someone will look at your art, or hear your art, or experience your art, and they'll see you. Because you remind them of themselves. And when someone looks at your art and sees themselves, then you've created beauty, then you've created a perfect union. And they don't feel alone anymore. And that's also how you're going to make friends. Even if they are very different from you, they will see the uniqueness in you. And they will appreciate it because they're also different. And you are the exact mirror of everyone in this collective. Same but different. Simply opposite, but made of the same stuff. I think I'll leave it there. I love you. I hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you very soon.